So wait, were you born in New York?
I was.
Where in New York?
I was born in East Harlem, Metropolitan Hospital.
You're a real New Yorker.
Yes, very, very real New Yorker, definitely. Went to PS 108, PS 112, right on the East River, right in South Harlem as well. I grew up there. I just knew it. It was the area that nobody wanted to live, and now everyone's buying up. When I was a kid in the 90s, that's when they were giving out the townhouses for $1. The mayor was selling them for $1 or something because they were all messed up.
And how much now?
The average gut renovation is close to $1.5 million.
Insane.
Like just to buy the shell.
That's
in that area, yeah.
And they need at least what, $500,000?
Probably, because a lot of the times these buildings are so old, you need someone that could actually learn, because they're you don't want to take from the integrity of a townhouse. Old school brownstone. Yeah. So you got to keep people that know how to handle those bricks or have access to that quality material to bring back the old. Because if not, then you're just going to have like a townhouse, like a new modern townhouse that doesn't fit with the rest of the...
I feel like you can update it and maintain the charm.
Right.
But just like don't overdo it. I see a lot of people overdo it. It's just like, okay, even though it's a beautiful brownstone, I'm walking into what could be an apartment anywhere.
Well, right. That part, and essentially a lot of people, New York loves New York, right? So I enjoy that part. Seeing that kind of, I grew up in that part of New York where like you knew the old guy that lived like in the garden unit, because that was the people we went to go like shovel their snow for a couple bucks when we were little kids. So it brings back that old nostalgia, that old New York. People think Gotham, like things, it gives back that feature so much that there's actually landmark neighborhoods in Harlem that you just cost even a lot more to renovate because you got to go to the landmark committee for approval.
It's a lot of work.
Ton of work, a ton of waiting. New York City is definitely what I call, I was in the military, like the military, a hurry up and wait.
So let's talk about that, and thank you for your service. Tell us, what did you do in the military?
I was a, big old word, a satellite signal support technician, which is a 25 uniform. It was, but in the real world, I essentially was, everyone called me when they had IT issues. I was the help desk.
Yeah. He was our Bobby.
Yeah, essentially, yes. So when it was out on the field, I never got deployed overseas because my MOS had so many people in it that like there was they had enough out there when we were like asking where we wanted to go, places we wanted to see over. I even put South Korea. They didn't have like space for me because my MOS was full over there.
Oh, so you can kind of like select where you want to go, or say
like a dream list kind of sort of, where you could like if something opens up or a position opens up, like they can fit you on a post somewhere, like they can send you over. My brothers had all been all over to Japan, South. So I was like, I just gotta go.
Do you come from a military family?
I do. All military, Army and Navy. Yes.
Okay.
So it was a battle.
Got a bunch of badasses here.
Yeah.
Father, military man, I assume?
Military. Everyone is military. Our career, for sure. My one brother, I believe he got out, I want to say a few years right before retirement, like he was injured. But besides that, I was the only one that like was a knucklehead, went in right out of high school. It was like living in a fraternity. So then I was like, what's next?
Yeah.
And then I hadn't lived like civilian life. I hadn't experienced growing up like in the early 20s as like a regular person. So I was like, I want to go explore the world. Like just like alone. I wound up going to Miami first, started there. Then I was traveling up and down. I wanted to explore the world,
so I went to Miami.
I did. I started.
Great.
It's
something I would do.
I was a little poor kid from Manhattan. I had no idea what was outside the city. Even coming here today, I don't do much in Long Island or come to Long Island. So I was like, look at this school. I'm like, look at this. It's just so different. Like your schools are like campuses out here.
Yeah.
Like we don't have that much space. So we just kind of put stuff in buildings.
When you see the property tax bills, you'll get it.
Oh, I've heard. I've definitely heard. Well, I'm experiencing some of that now, having finally moved out of the city and purchasing a home in New Jersey, where like the towns, you're just like, oh, your taxes are here, your taxes are there, which made a big decision for us where we were going to land.
So back to where you were traveling to. You went to Miami. How much time you spent there?
A lot of time, because I went there, I stayed there. I would stay like Airbnbs, but then I was in my car, and I had a car.
And how long ago was this, Josh?
I want to say this was before I met my husband, so it's about maybe 10 years ago now.
Not that long, to be fair.
Not that long, no.
Yeah.
I got out about 2009, 10, and then I came and I drove to Miami. I was like, this is fun, but like South Beach gets played out after a while.
It does.
So I said, let me go get a job. I drove all the way up to New York, landed a job at Whole Foods. And I was like, I don't care. Like, I just need a couple bucks and I'm going to keep doing it. And I would just drive everywhere, up and down the East Coast. I would land in Georgia, in South Carolina, just all over. And then once I saved up a couple bucks, wound up on the West Coast. And then just started doing that, getting in the car, just driving up. Yeah, just looking around the U.S. I was like...
Where on the West Coast?
California, wound up in Vegas, drove from Vegas to L.A., got stuck in the L.A. traffic. I just wanted to experience like everything, because people think it's like, oh, the little city kid comes to New York and the big dream, but it's like...
It's the other way around.
It's the other way around. Like, I never seen the white picket fence or the little small, like, kids going to soccer. To us, it's just like we all rode the train together. We were at PAL, which is like our version of sports.
Did you find that, like, of course it's cool, but was there a part of you that finds it's not exciting enough compared to New York? Like, did you crave the city atmosphere?
After a while, yes. I can definitely say that there's no way, even now, having moved out of New York City, I still have to work here. I still have to go there. I still need my hit. Like, I have to definitely get my fix. So I find myself going on vacation to certain places like that to, like, relax, because we're at such a high pace. And then at the beginning of the vacation, I'm like, okay, you got to slow down. Like, if you knock on a door, or if you go into a store or something, like, they're not just gonna. It's not New York. Like, they're a little slower. So I had to learn that, but then I can't do it for long. Like, I'm like, okay.
Well, how long did you do that whole travel journey thing?
It was over. I want to say it was over about a 2.5 year period.
That's wild, man. Yeah, that's really crazy.
I kept looking.
And I say that in the most, like, in a place from admiration. Like, that takes balls to do, honestly. And you did it solo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were 22. Yeah, maybe the confidence from, like, or being in the military gave you that, like, because most people are straight up too scared to do it and don't have the organization or the discipline, because it does take some mental power, like willpower, to do what you did. It's not easy.
No, it definitely isn't. But I will say one of the best things, I think, was the fact of I really prioritized myself at the time, right? So
what does that mean?
I wasn't worried about, is someone gonna go with me, or am I gonna wind up in this weird little town? I never went that far. I mean, I would go, like, even when I was in Georgia, I would wind up in, like, Columbus, because I was stationed there, or, like, Savannah. Like, that's as far small as I would go. Yeah. I would hit bigger cities and then just, like, meet people there. And then, like, even in Vegas, they'd be like, let's go off the strip. And I'm like, let's go. Like, so I kind of did that, but also just never, like, pushing it too far where you're like, this is sketchy. Unless I'm in New York. Like, New York, I could hit.
Because you're comfortable, because at least you know.
Yeah.
It's funny, I just got back from Vegas, too.
See?
For a mortgage trip. I love Vegas.
I love it. That was the one thing where I'm just like, I got to go back.
Yeah. Well, in our business, we have a conference there every 3 weeks, you know. So I'm saying, it's especially on the real estate side.
I'm going on the next one.
The mortgage side, we have maybe not every 3 weeks. No, every 6 weeks, honestly. And I mean, it's cool. It's like the party vibe is, like, fun. It gets boring. Honestly, by the second night, I was like, at least from, like, a party atmosphere, I was like, I'm ready to go home. Like,
oh yeah,
it gets old, but it was cool. Got to see a few DJs perform, had a good time, and just, like, it's fun to, like, hang with people in the business in that environment. You know, it's like, and it's a great way to network quickly, because if you're partying together, you're having a good time, and it's like a genuine experience. It's not like a fluffy sit down with, oh, okay, what do you do? Oh, yeah, go.
Right. The whole corporate thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it happens. We all fall into it, and it's fine. Okay, so talk to us about, because this journey is really interesting. So how did you get from the traveling, like, what brought you back to New York, and then how did you get into real estate?
Well, I wound up getting in a serious relationship in my 20s. I think we all did, or I thought it was, right? We all did. And I tried to settle down. I wound up getting a job offer at the hospital I was going to since I was a baby. Actually, Mount Sinai Hospital. I got a job offer, from a buddy from college, and he was like, "You want the job?" I was like, "You know what? Sure. Like, why not?"
Yeah.
And it was like one of those like super corporate union jobs. So I was like, okay, young with a union job type of thing. I'll take it. Yeah, solid income.
I'm
and
a family
everything.
man now.
Yeah, I was like, I'll do it, you know? And it got very stale, very quick, very boring. I realized that part. That you
served in the military. You do this traveling like that. Yeah.
I thought I was going to just bounce into it, though. I was just like, I could do this. Like, everyday people do this. But Groundhog's Day is real. Like, people, especially with certain jobs like that, where you just come in, you clock in, you do your 8 hours, and you go. Yeah. It was the craziest thing. And that was, like, I guess the young person in me, like, you're not 50. Like, what is this? Right. And then everyone there is, like, 50, 60, 70 years old. Like, you're like, I don't want to retire doing this, dude. Like, I can't. These people this is not my vibe. Like, at all.
I love that.
I can't. So I wind up going through those few years. In my late 20s, I was single again. And I said, now it's time for Josh to get a passport. And I immediately quit that job at the hospital. I said, I gotta go somewhere. I planned a trip to go, I flew into Barcelona, went to Madrid, stayed in Madrid. Well, it was supposedly 3 weeks, but I flew into Barcelona. I was bored after a couple days because Barcelona, like, I stayed, I would say 40 minutes out of Barcelona. So I was like, let's start riding trains and stuff. And their trains look like those oil tank trains, like those old school. Started winding up at different places. I was like, let's just go to Madrid. I was in an Airbnb and I said, let's go. Where else can we go? I saw Ryanair. And I will tell you, that is the equivalent. Yeah. Yes, that is our American equivalent of Spirit Airlines. Yeah. Yes. So I was like, what? And then I had just met my husband and he was just like, I'll go with you. And I was like, you're going to leave your job? Like, to go, like, just travel around Europe? He's like, yeah. So we only knew each other for like 6 months. I said, let's go.
Oh, that's 6 months fine.
I mean, with some random dude, I was like, okay, I guess, let's go.
Wait, so you were together for 6 months at that point, or the trip was going to be for 6 months?
No, we were together for about 6 months at that point. But fine. It was, I mean, I guess, I don't know. To me, I was like, I don't know. I was like, oh, that's nice. Some people just wouldn't go with you on like an excursion like that, especially because I'm definitely fly off like my sleeves. Like, I just wound up there and I woke up. We were sitting in front of the TV. I was like, you want to go to Paris? And he's like, what? And I was like, I'm booking it right now. It was $100 round trip, Amazing. 2 tickets, 4 days in Paris. I said, let's just go.
Yeah.
We have the Airbnb here for 2 weeks.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I've done that ever since. Got back from Europe, immediately got into real estate. It's the craziest thing how I immediately started doing.
How long were you in Europe for?
3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I just kept trying to find different things to go. And I kept seeing how further I could push it. Like, I was like, can I go to Germany? Like, how far?
But that's the beautiful thing about Europe is that the transportation is so
You guys they have it lovely over there. I was just like, I would be that person. I would hop on a train 4 hours, wind up in, like, Madrid. And
I did this trip last year. Thank God I didn't plan it. My friend planned it. And it's a common trip that people do in Europe, but we did Budapest, Vienna, and Prague, all in, like, I don't know, 7-8 days. It was really quick. And it's easy. It's just, you just hop on the train. You don't need a passport. You just get on the train. You go to another country. And I finished the trip actually by going to Turkey and doing a hair transplant.
Oh, nice.
Which I booked on 2 days' notice. And it's still healing. It's still recovering. It's going to take some time. But
we got to talk about that one.
Yeah, I recommend. You're good, but I'll tell you this: if you're going to do it, you have to do it at the not right when it begins, but kind of like halfway.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, because like if you do it too early, then it's not like you're not replacing enough, and But for me, I waited till I didn't really have a ton. I still had a good amount here, nothing on top, which I still don't. But like my back and sides were good, but it's just really like maintenance and vanity. I mean, I didn't need to do it.
Sure.
I just want to stay sexy. Is that
There's nothing wrong with that?
Is that a crime to want to be sexy forever?
Listen, everyone does the contacts, the extensions of eyes, hairs, ears, nose, all this other stuff. So a couple little punks, I don't see anything wrong with it.
It's interesting too. There are a lot of women getting hair transplants too, and I had because I was posting about it on my social. I was pretty open about it. And I got more DMs from women looking to do it than I did from men.
It's very true because here it's so expensive. Actually, when
20 G's here.
When you helped us buy the house, my husband was working at Hair Club.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. At a hair club in the financial district. And they had a guy on site that was like the tattoo guy. And they do, I guess, like the dotting tattoo.
There's a term for
that
it,
one,
like
yeah. They had that.
SMP. That's it.
Yeah, or something like he had like a special license with special needles, tattoo needles, and women would come in to just fill it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that too, actually. So once I'm done with with my second to do the top and fill in whatever's remaining, I'm then gonna go in and do the little dots to just get it finished and be done. And this way you're good for, I mean, who knows how long, but that's the way.
He said it takes, I think, for like at least like 2 or 3 years, like well, or like up to 5 or something, depending on
like it lasts.
Right, like it lasts. Yeah, and he said it depends on essentially how much. Like you sweat, like and all that other stuff, like depending on, because it's like a tattoo, so how you take, like how people take the ink, like, which is not bad though. Yeah. I mean, I saw it because he's taking pictures and showing me. I'm like, it almost looks like a Caesar, like a Caesar cut.
Right, but dude, yours is good.
Well, this is because I got a good barber, so it's nice, high and tight, keeps me. But I'm definitely losing it somewhere right in the middle. But
no, you're good, man. You're good. Enjoy it. I mean, I hate you and I'm jealous, but it is what it is.
For now.
So, Josh, how did you get into real estate then after all this traveling?
Yeah, so I got back home and I sat down and I just started watching TV, and a buddy of mine hit me up and it was just like, hey, I need to find an apartment, da-da-da-da. And I've always been I always say that my brain has been different, right? I've been wired a little bit different, not like, similar. You ever seen that show, The Good Doctor? No, it's basically a show about a doctor that has autism. But he's like high functioning, so he's like this crazy, like super smart doctor. And I kind of see the world like that, in a sense of like when I see something and someone brings me a problem, I immediately weirdly have like an equation in my mind. Gotcha. So I'm like, how can we start moving this like a puzzle? Like, how can we? So I've always been like that. And he's like, I'm trying to find an apartment, broker's fees are high, da-da-da-da. So I just started getting information and I was like, I got you. I helped him find an apartment with no fee.
And you weren't a realtor?
I was not a real estate agent. I was just like, here, I got you. Like, look on these different places. Then I realized I was like, I'm good at just like problem solving. Like so I went and I used to love Groupon a lot because when I was single, I used to go on a lot of first dates. Nice. So Groupon dates, just to make it super weird because you never know what you're showing up to.
I get it.
So I wind up looking on Groupon and it was there for $99. I said, you know what?
I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that.
Everyone remembers that. I told so many people. I said, go on Groupon. You can get your license for less than $100. And people were like, no, really, really? I did it. I did it online. I wound up getting licensed. And then I was learning immediately that you didn't have to show up anywhere. I could chill in my sweats at home, take a call if I needed to, didn't have to clock in for anybody. And if I was in Miami or anywhere, I could just help clients out, like no problem. So I was like, hold on, this might work. Like this might actually work for me. And then I got into real estate, I want to say 2017. So what I call the old guard real estate, which was before people were getting, these Zillow leads and leads from other platforms that make it easy for someone to just kind of make money immediately out the gate. I had to go and, take people's scraps, do open houses, get actual in front with the customers as they came to the open house.
Which arguably is the best way to do it.
Well, because I still talk to people from years ago that was like, remember when you were a brand new agent and we gave you a shot? Like it gives me that longevity. Yeah, for sure.
It's funny that you say that because I don't do open houses like I used to, but I still get the same thing. January will be 11 years for me in the business.
Nice.
And I still get calls from people from those open houses that I did in my first 2-3 years because that's like how you build relationships. I mean, look, can you do it over the phone? Yes. Can you do it over the Zoom? Yes. But nothing beats like an in-person thing, right? And it's like it just builds connection. Even like say like on a podcast, right? Like we haven't formally met before. We've known each other on like social, and we helped you buy your house, which of course we were honored and grateful to help you. And it's just nuts to finally like put a face to the name and the connection stronger. That's the way. That is in-person events are the way to go if you have the patience for it.
Well, I was gonna say it's it's also that, and part of, I think the lasting, if you have the personality for it, where you're already doing an open house, you're already putting yourself out there, then you probably have a little bit of a personality where they're going to remember you. Because a lot of these people that I've noticed that when I met them, they were just selling their homes somewhere else and then buying in the city. So these people, they hold homes for so long that like they're coming back out and they're like, what's going on now? Because they don't even know the last time they purchased was like before I was born, type of thing, like in the 80s where a house is like 30 grand. So it was one of those things where I would really connect, especially with like what I would consider the real consumers back in the day when I first started, which was your average 40-year-old plus in the city that was either buying a second home or the pied-à-terre or something like that.
That's
and I know.
Back and forth. Oof.
Well, that's what's been going now. Yeah. That's been a large part of our business now, has been people from large corporations, different companies that are just coming back. They either moved Westchester County or further up north or out into New Jersey, where the commute just doesn't make sense. So they're buying little small studios, pied-à-terres, like Lincoln Center has amazing ones over there.
Built specifically for that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Allows you to sublet them. These are co-ops too.
Yeah.
Allows you to sublet them when you're not sitting there. Very investor friendly and very like pied-à-terre for like most of the people are like foreign investors that just hold it there.
Yeah, I want to do the same thing, but in Miami.
Listen, just make sure it's not that building. Make sure it's not that Surfside building or whatever. As long as it's not that one, make sure they got the proper. That's my one like jab I always put at those Miami agents. I'm like, listen, our buildings are 1,000 years old, but they're standing.
Exactly. Josh, talk to us a little bit about your business setup, your team setup.
So I started the team. The team is named after me, so it's the Joshua Rodriguez team. I started the team actually in 2021, and I was going through a lot. Business was booming. Things were crazy.
Good times.
And those were good times. Those were very good times. Interest rates were low, and I wind up finding myself with a multitude of opportunities just because I had leaned into the listing agent side. I had a ton of buyers. So I just started grabbing brand new agents out of school. Nice. Like the firm I was working at would take brand new agents out of school. So I started just mentoring them from the beginning. So they weren't tainted by what could happen in the real estate world. So
which can be rough.
Right. Or discouraging, or some people fall into bad habits. So I got them from the beginning, and I had all this extra business. So what I learned actually from advisement from a very wise person was about buying back your time. So I had to, because I was an individual agent. So you have to carry everything, right? As an individual person. So as a leader now, as a team, I had to be like, okay, I got to use my people valuable, like in a way where I'm buying back my time and I'm doing more valuable stuff for the team. So more of managerial versus kind of on the beat, so to speak.
And it sounds like you enjoy it too.
I really do love it because I think development is a big part where that people don't like to do, or people not everyone has the I would say patience, right? Because I deal with a lot when you're training people.
I can imagine.
Yes. So they don't have the patience, nor do they have the experience like to do that. I came from a world where I was in the military. I had early on experience leading a squad, leading a team, coming out, leading. When I worked in the hospital, I worked in the operating room, so I was the head of the nurse's assistant. So we would help every single nurse in the operating room, and I would point, you go here, point, you go there, and so I had that experience before. So I said, you know what? I'm going to build out the team because I also wanted to be more profitable. Yeah. So built out the team. No, built out the team. I pretty much posted it on LinkedIn and just started getting resumes. Yeah, it was the weirdest thing to me because I had never positioned myself that way before.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, people are really sending me their resume.
It's amazing.
So I was like, this is amazing. So I started realizing that just off of sheer longevity and just off of doing business and having been in the business and meeting people, just going to these networking events, I didn't realize I was building value to the industry.
Right. You were just like connecting and like, because you were excited to connect with people and learn about the business, and lo and behold, you actually like built a name for yourself.
Yeah.
Accidentally.
Not even knowing. Right. Accidentally.
But the truth is, Josh, that I'm involved with a mortgage nonprofit that does similar things, but for like mortgage brokers. And it was the same thing. I didn't mean, like, my intention wasn't to like network for the purpose of making money. I just wanted to connect with my people.
Yeah.
And you accidentally just like build this network of people that can refer you business. You can refer them. You can connect them with the right people.
Yeah.
It's just the more people you know in this business, the better, as long as you're on good terms.
Right. And I think that part of it too is it's easy definitely to get, especially in this business, is to just have a ginormous ego. You know what I mean?
Which I find interesting coming from you, because you seem like you don't have an ego whatsoever.
I don't know, and that's actually the difference that I have on my team, right? People are still asking me till this day, you know, can I join your team? Do you have any available spaces? I said at this time I'm not hiring, but I put that aside because I'm definitely, I have a sharp tongue, right? I've definitely. I always tell people I grew up in the gay world, so we are definitely easy to shade somebody and quick with our tongues, but when it comes to the business, I just know that I was a poor kid. Yeah. I was a poor kid that just didn't have it. So I understand no connections, I didn't know anybody that owned anything. Most of us were on welfare, so we didn't know anything about it. So to me, it was more so like, how can I kick this door open? Because there really wasn't an opportunity for people like me. Because if you didn't, when I joined real estate, you had to have some connections. Yeah. Because if you didn't, you either had to cling on to someone to kind of help, but there was no just going back into where I'm from, back into the hood and saying, guys, let's put our $2 together, you know?
Yeah.
Can't really do that when the biggest thing in this industry, when they first tell you to start is, what is it? Use your sphere. Use your sphere. And you're like,
what if you don't have a sphere?
I got two contacts.
So let's talk about that actually. So we're over time, but this is important. What advice do you have for someone who literally is like coming into the business and same thing, broker tells them work your sphere, because we all know that's what they're told.
Yeah.
So what should that person do?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing is step back and see if that's something that you can actually do. And be realistic with yourself, because that was part of my growth.
Well, I'm saying let's pretend they don't have a sphere.
And the biggest thing I think people do not do is the whole fake it till you make it thing. I also think is a load of it's not real. Yeah. And I tried it. I really did. I went super corporate too. I started off a super corporate firm at the beginning, and I said, I'm just going to look like a lawyer. I'm just going to look like a lawyer. And no one cared. I was on the train looking super nice. No one cared just because no one knew. So I would say be authentic to yourself and be real to yourself. If you have to say, I just can't do that because I don't have the resources, it's better to be real with yourself at the beginning, because I can tell you I wasted a ton of time trying to keep up with the joints. Yeah, which didn't make any sense, because at the end of the day, I could go out and buy a custom suit, all these things with the income that I was making before. Right. Still didn't make me money in real estate.
It's nice to have the suit though.
I got them. Yeah, I got a bunch of them now, of course. You know, but I would say definitely do that. Be true to yourself. Listen to yourself, and I would say find like-minded people. Find people that are actually open to it, because there's more of us than there are of them. The loudest ones in the room are technically always the ego people, but there's a bunch of us that are just standing there, and we are willing to help, willing to give you and guide you and stuff. And it's more of an inclusive, market than most people think. Our industry, I say, than most people think, because there are people like me. And if not, you could always reach out to me. Rodriguez@avenuesny.com, and we could always talk about it, because I think it's one of those things where if I have to change the industry, I'm willing to do it. But I think the biggest thing is you can lead with kindness and still get crazy, sales machines out of it. Yeah. It's all just about nurturing them. So I think that's it.
It's not required. So I think a lot of people think this too. Like there's a requirement that you have to be shady or do shady things in order to get to the top.
That's what gets the attention, though.
Right. But it's not required, though. It's not mandatory. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people that do shady things in the business. It's not like a secret, unfortunately.
I know.
But it's by no means a requirement. You can do the right thing. It just takes persistence and some patience, I think.
I agree with you 100%. My biggest thing on my team, if you ask anyone on my team, is I will go above and beyond, and I will find a way. But the one thing that I never, ever, ever, ever do is I never compromise my ethics, and I never compromise my integrity. If at any point I find anyone on my team, that is an immediate fast ticket way off my team. I do not do that. I get it. But there's so much good money to be made that for you to be doing this other stuff that I didn't teach you, I can guarantee I didn't teach you. So if you are doing that, then that's a quick way to just off my team. That part.
It's infectious.
Yes, I definitely lead integrity and ethics. That's the biggest thing. If the rules say don't do it, then don't do it. Yeah. Like we shouldn't have to. There's that gray area. I know people love to live in that gray area, and I have definitely stuck my toe in the pond a time or two, but definitely to the point where you compromise yourself. If you, I do believe in that, about how you feel. And if you feel like you're doing something wrong, then maybe don't do it, because I'm just an empath like that.
Trust your gut. I mean, you do have people who are able to lie to themselves, right?
Oh, yeah.
And make them feel like even though they're doing something terrible, it's okay. And there's nothing we can really do about that, unfortunately. But
no, I mean, we can
see a lot of those people.
Yeah, look, they all exist, right? That's the one thing. There's no manual to this thing, right? Everyone just kind of makes it up their own, and that's the beauty of it, which allowed me to go see all these things and travel all around and just make crazy experiences.
Where's the next place you're going to visit?
Actually, so short term, I'm going right now. In December, I'm going right to Pennsylvania, to Philadelphia for the first time. Have never been. Okay. And then I'm going to make it, because I was just that poor kid, so I never really had money like that. So I'm going to super fan out. I'm going over there to spend the night in December to watch Mariah Carey's Christmas special.
Cool. That's going to be awesome. Yeah.
And then next year we actually we're going to do a destination. We're going to go, because that's the other thing too, bring it back to when we were talking about the passport thing. Yeah. I was very disappointed actually in Europe. And I just want to say that because I was so excited thinking that it was still going to be like the days where they just like boom, boom, boom. And I was going to have all these stamps. No.
Yeah, no stamps.
No stamps. I got one stamp. Yeah, I was like, everybody has like the stamps.
You got to fly in if you want the stamps.
Yeah, I didn't even get a stamp flying in.
Oh, you didn't?
When I flew into Spain, no. They scan your thing now.
You can ask them for it though.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, you can. I mean, they won't always do it, but like
I was like,
you could just be like, "You mind if I get a stamp, please?" And they give you a cheeky smile, and they'll smash it for you.
Yeah, that and Mexico. That's the next spot we're going to.
Yeah, Mexico is it's a good time. Obviously, you got to be safe there.
Sure.
But it's I don't know, I think I've been maybe 4 times.
Oh, see,
just like resorts.
Well, that's what I want to do. Never done that because I'm definitely afraid of cruises, so I'm not going to do that.
Same. Have you been on one?
No, I can't. My stomach just won't let me. I don't know.
It's just weird to be in this massive body of water. It freaks me out. I know it's so safe.
Finally, someone that understands me.
Yeah, it's weird. We don't belong there. I know that we came from water originally, right? But like, it's just no.
I don't know. It's just that one big thing. Yes, I agree. I'm like no, and at least in a plain worst case scenario, it kind of takes us out quick. Like
exactly. You're done. You're done. Yeah. It's over quickly. All right, Josh. Because we didn't do the intro.
Yeah.
Just tell the people, please, who you are, what you do. If you've been listening to this, you have that figured out. But this way we have it.
Yes, I'm Joshua Rodriguez. I'm actually a licensed real estate salesperson in the Manhattan, New York City market. I am a team leader of the Joshua Rodriguez team, and I'm currently at Avenues, New York, and Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Booyah. In my hometown.
That's right.
Not hometown, just where I live now.
Where you live now? That's all right. We're going over there.
I got to come visit. All right, Josh, thank you so much.
Appreciate you, brother. Always a pleasure.